Hello, everybody. This is Bart Bettiga, Executive Director of the National Tile Contractors Association, publisher of Tile Letter Magazine, and I have with me a special guest I'm very excited to have today, which is Thomas Holland, who is the current CEO of the Apex Group. And Thomas, welcome. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you very much.
And we have some exciting news to kind of share. In our industry, we've been watching very closely over the last several years, the growth of Diverzify and several installation companies and specialty companies part of that. And an announcement we just saw is that the Apex Group is joining in a partnership with Diverzify. Can you tell me how that came about and tell me a little bit about this partnership?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks again we're glad to be here. I'm glad to be here. I've known some folks at the Diverzify executive team for quite some time, and this industry is as big as it is. It's a small industry, and we were watching them from afar grow and do a lot of the things that we were doing on a smaller scale. We had a similar M&A growth strategy and had been acquiring some companies, had a holding company structure, and what I found was the people within the organization really just reflected our core values almost to a T. A friend of mine reached out to me back in sometime last year and explained the opportunity and what they were looking for. They wanted to expand their service business, wanted to expand the flooring business in Austin, and believe we were uniquely qualified to help in that manner. We had both a location for corporate floors in Austin and a national service company. So after several meetings, get to know them get to know us. Outside of the numbers, the most important thing for me in any of these opportunities is making sure that the teams align, the values align, the visions align, both at the leadership level, but almost more importantly, at the staff level. And core values are really important to us. Our culture is very important to us as a company. And just felt that this was going to be a great match on both levels. So that's how we came together, and excited to be here.
So Apex Group was a Texas-based company, and Corporate Floors was part of that. But you mentioned service brands as well. So you're not just an installation company. So tell me a little bit about all of the different strategic aspects or different services that your group provides, and what made that attractive to the Diverzify Group.
Sure. The Reader's Digest version of our business started the company in the late 90s in Dallas as a Millicare carpet cleaning franchise, commercial carpet cleaning. And we started providing mill direct installation. This was back in the mid-late 90s when that was a big thing. And we grew the company that way for the next 10 years. We didn't start selling product as an organization until about 2012 or 2010. We acquired a couple dealerships, and at that point became what you would call a traditional floor contractor. But we've always run our service business separate teams, separate P&L. I think that made a big difference in how we grew as an organization. I have a restaurant management background, so I love the service industry and love that part of our business. So we grew the company over the next 10 years. We're 27 years into this now. And over the last 5 to 7, we've been acquiring different businesses to diversify not only our geographic footprint. So we're in 9 cities across the country in 6 different states. Okay. But we had 4 companies going into the merger with Diverzify. Our floor contracting business, Corporate Floors, that's now becoming part of the Spectra business in Texas. So we're in the middle of integrating that team within Spectra. Apex Surface Care, which is our surface care business, that remains as Apex Group, which is the service side of our business. We also had a custodial company, an elevator interiors business, and a carpet recycling company. All of those are being integrated in some manner into the organization. Our custodial, our construction cleaning, and our surface care is all now operating under the Apex Group brand. So Apex Group is the national service and floor care business for Diverzify. And so our job is to expand that within the organization, provide those services to the 51 plus locations that Diverzify has.
So you will be joining the executive leadership team and really kind of spearheading the effort on the surface care aspect, the Apex group surface care. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yeah, very privileged, honored to be part of that group. Just a fantastic organization. The peers that I'm working with, they're a lot smarter than me, and so I'm really pleased to work and learn from them and learn to grow our business within Diverzify. Really excited to do it. There's such a great complement to what we do as an organization, both from a service, a product, but more importantly, again, just how they lead is very similar to how I've always led, and looking forward to just growing that team together.
It almost feels, I mean, I've been watching distribution consolidate over the last several years, but the labor consolidation I've always felt would take a longer, but it's really kind of happening watching this with the way this is going on with the Diverzify group. It almost feels to me like there's several companies, like there has to be, what is the backside, what is the advantage that you see, or the advantages of this happening as fast as it's happening around the country? Is it buying power? Is it the ability to serve general contractors on a national level? Is it bringing maintenance and service as well as installation all under one roof? Or is it systems? Is it the backside of how systems work? Because I see so many members struggle with recruitment of labor, hiring labor, training labor. What's the advantages as we see what Diverzify is really putting together that you see?
I think you've hit the nail on several of those advantages, but there's some real differentiators between how Diverzify is doing it today versus past attempts at the same thing. And I think a lot of people, they like to draw parallels between what Diverzify is doing versus what some of the manufacturers tried in the 90s and 2000s and some other organizations. There's really nothing like what they're doing. Our CFO that's worked with me for 12 years was the CFO for DuPont Flooring Systems, and he always shared that one of the fatal mistakes that some of these larger organizations made when they consolidated these entrepreneurial-led brands is they stripped all the entrepreneurialism out of the company, and they tried to systematize and bureaucratize the business, and this is not the industry to do that with. So Diverzify works very diligently, and when they acquire business, I would call it more of a Berkshire Hathaway model, where they look for good companies that are well run with good leadership, and they let them run that way and really try and stay out of the way of the entrepreneur, provide support to them, and be additive to the business versus bringing in lots of change. There's certainly some change that comes with it. You can't help all that. But change is good. And if it's moderated and done well, it can be a really good thing for the organization. I know for our organization, it just became more and more challenging to grow in the climate that we were in, with real estate being what it was, being interest rates being what it was. It was harder for us to acquire businesses. We've got a good track record of doing that successfully, but they just bring so much more power to that. And that's what attracted me to this, was being able to continue to run our business in the way that we've run it, without anybody getting in the way and telling us, how to run it differently. Every conversation I've seen them have with businesses that are, perhaps off track with their goal, it's always, how can we help? How can we support you? What can we do different to help you grow, versus stepping in and telling them how to run the business. So it's a huge difference from past efforts at consolidation.
It's a great answer. How do you see things in particular being different for you? Will you be relocating? Will you stay where you are? Or what's going to change for you personally?
Personally for me, I'm 53. I've got a lot of working years left in me. I'm not going anywhere. I've been married 23 years. I've got an 11-year-old daughter. I'm a Texas native. We do have options, and honestly, this has given us some options of future where we might live, but no plans to do anything right now. I love where I'm at. I love the team that we work with, and I travel a lot in my role, and probably traveling a little bit more because of the expanded footprint. But I love that, and I get to take my family along with me during the summers, which is nice. So probably continue to just doing exactly what I've been doing.
So will you be going to some of the other locations to try to implement or incorporate service technologies or service options for those companies? So you will have quite a bit of travel to try to help train and support that from a business standpoint. Is that correct?
Yeah, one of the advantages for me was we have 9 locations across the country for Apex. We almost doubled our footprint immediately with this merger because Diverzify had other locations that also provided service, and so that helped a lot there. Outside of that, there's the rest of the locations that don't provide service but provide a tremendous amount of flooring. And so when we look at the opportunity to capture market share with the installed flooring base that's already there, capture market share within the upcoming installed base that's there, and plug in construction and other services into that, it's just incredible and probably a little overwhelming right now, how much opportunity is really there.
That's great. How could you share with me from a success standpoint, how do you get labor? How do you, how have you been able to build your business and looking at what Diverzify is doing? All I hear around the country is labor shortage, construction shortage, difficulty in recruiting people coming out of high school or different other careers. I certainly am very familiar about the tile installation challenges that we have with recruiting and training tile installers, but I'm talking people in general to enter a company like yours. Is that a challenge, or what are some strategies that you've been able to do to maintain a workforce of 200 plus employees and now moving towards the Diverzify model?
Yeah, that is definitely issue number one for anybody in the service industry. And if they tell you it's not, they're not telling you the truth.
Yeah, they're lying. Yeah.
Every company I deal with, our own companies in this industry, every location, it's a real issue. And I think there's a whole generation, and it's not an issue that any one company can solve, because I believe in my heart that this is really a generational issue. There's an entire generation of people that have exited the workforce, but then also there's an entire section of the workforce that just is looking for things other than field labor. And there's growth industries out there that are pulling that labor away from us, and it's gotten incredibly expensive to retain labor. I know last year, our labor rates went up 25% in less than 6 months. And in 27 years, they've never escalated that high. And that was just to retain the people that we had. So, but we still have, I believe, one of the best tenured groups in the industry. Our average technician, frontline labor, they've been with us for 8.5 years. A lot of guys 20, 30 years, and some obviously younger. We look for labor by doing, I think, just all the right things any good organization would do. Have a great culture, treat your people right, pay them well, create incentives for them to grow, give them good benefits. And that was also a big attractor to me with Diverzify, is even the size of our business, which quite frankly is still pretty small. One of the advantages with Diverzify, gives us a larger base to work from, and allows us to offer better benefits to our team members, which is huge for anybody in leadership. So I don't think there's any secret answer to that. It's just getting really creative with recruiting efforts and looking for good people that are good core value matches for our organization. That by far for me, that's been the most important. If I look at all of our long-term team members, they're all really good core value matches. The ones that don't last are not. And so we really focus our recruiting efforts on trying to vet out, those people as best we can. And it is difficult. There's no easy answer. It's just a lot of hard work.
Do you go to like job fairs or high schools? Is there workforce development opportunities for at-risk youth, like through Job Corps or anything like that? Have you explored?
All of those. We've been working with some local universities, with military, with high schools, trying to create internal apprentice type programs, for those people getting into the industry. It's just a matter that everyone else in our industry, in construction or in field services, they're all trying the same thing. So it's that pool of labor we're pulling from, which is, very limited.
So on the flooring installation side of the division, corporate floors will now, if I heard you right, corporate floors will fall under the Spectra brand. So is that, I'm assuming those companies competed in a way, right, in Texas. So how's that going to synergize? Was corporate floors stronger in Austin and Spectra stronger in Dallas or San Antonio, or how will that work now moving forward with that merging, if you will?
Yeah, great question. So Spectra did not have an Austin location, and so that's a pretty easy one for us. Our Austin location will just transition into a Spectra location. Okay. We're trying to be very thoughtful and plan these changes out in a manner that's not disruptive to the team and our clients. We structured the deal to allow us to have that time and opportunity to make those decisions. But change is hard for folks, and the better we can communicate it to the team. There has been a lot of conversations, from a competitive standpoint, sharing customer lists, making sure that we weren't, creating this competitive culture internally in each of the offices. I feel we've done the best job we can there. It's really difficult, for anybody in the flooring business to claim ownership over a contractor. Because at the end of the day, this is still very much a relationship business. Their relationships with one PM might be different from another project manager within the same contractor. And we found that was the case with most of our sales teams, is even in the cases where they were working perhaps within the same general contractor, it was generally with totally different project managers. So we don't really expect that to be an issue. And again, just from a leadership perspective and a cultural perspective, whenever there is conflict, one of our core values is open and real communication. So we're very open and real with our team, and we try and get in front of those conversations pretty early to prevent them from spiraling out of control.
I just got in from the Dallas-Fort Worth area Sunday night. I was there over the weekend with in some executive meetings, and I was just fascinated with the growth that's taking place in the suburbs out there. We were out by Frisco and Denton and looking at a lot of infrastructure being built. So what are the prospects that you see in Texas? It looks good from a construction standpoint, doesn't it?
We've been pretty blessed here. I've been here for 27 years. I grew up in Texas, and I've lived in 12 states in my life, and I always came back here. I don't think there's an economy like it. Through all of the past events that we've had as a country, through 9/11, through the recession, through the dot-com boom, Texas grew through every one of those. And it might have grown a little slower, but it's never retracted. So I think it's there's going to continue to be a lot of optimism in our business and in our view. Certainly market segments have shifted. Texas has done a good job of diversifying outside of the energy industry, Dallas especially. And, Dallas used to be completely reliant upon the energy industry. And, it's pretty far down the list now as to the economic driver in the cities. I think Texas has really 4 of the top 10 economies in the country are still in Texas.
I'm not versed in your service components or those divisions, but I would think that this is a real strong strategy for Diverzify to have something that's almost I wouldn't say economy proof, but with all the structures up, if construction has any kind of a slowdown, to have a service level of divisions in your company is really an asset for profitability. Am I right?
It is. In our organization, they've always counterbalanced each other. I will say during COVID, it was a little bit different. Both sides of the business were affected for different reasons. The service business, custodial, floor care, anything facilities related, is still feeling the impact of just people not being in the building.
People not in
That-
offices, right?
That's right. But it's increasing. Again, we're a little bit ahead of the national average here in Texas, which is good. Some of our other markets, some are behind, some are ahead as well. I think the national average right now is still, below 60% occupancy. A lot of that is market segment driven, and we've got some market segments that are just on fire and growing, and certainly other market segments that have retracted. So a lot of service businesses are trying to find their way right now and reinvent themselves. One of the advantages that we see with Diverzify is our ability to diversify our own services within the organization are just unlimited. The amount of buildings they work in across the country is incredible. So that's what's very exciting, is it gives us a larger platform to try new things and experiment in new markets that would have been much more difficult before. But we've got a very clear strategy for growth, and it's a matter of just executing that. And you pointed the issue out. The biggest restrictor to growth is simply going to be labor. And can we source and execute enough labor to execute our growth plans?
Absolutely a challenge, but I think you're up to it now. Is there still room for Diverzify nationally to partner and find other good blue chip type companies in other markets, or is it starting to almost solidify around a pretty strong national footprint?
I think there's huge growth potential. If you look at the flooring industry, and I'm going to point to myself here, at the ownership of most of the flooring contractors, it's certainly above 50 years old, and I'd say the average age is closer to 60. So, there's a lot of these owners are looking for an exit strategy, and if they have the opportunity to transition their business in a way that still allows them to run entrepreneurially, do all the right things for their employees, and just run a good business, but not worry about the bank and all the issues that come along with ownership, especially in today's market, it's hugely relieving. So, in any one market, while there's 51 locations for Diverzify, there's hundreds more just in the floor contracting industry, some within the same market, so you can have local market growth, capture more market share. Or there's, this industry is incredibly diverse as far as the specialties that a lot of the companies work within, whether it's education focused or corporate focused or healthcare focused, a lot of growth in that area too. So I really don't see anything slowing down the growth train. There's a lot of opportunity there.
And because it allows for you as entrepreneurs to continue to be active in your business, has that boded well for succession planning, such as children or siblings and things of that nature? There is still opportunity if those people are effective in the company, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a child of a generational business. My mother started our business back in the 80s. And, there's a lot of advantages to that, just like advantages to anything else. And for, say, an owner who wants to, I think most successful generational businesses, the children typically go outside of the workplace for a little bit. The more successful ones, I think is what the science shows. They work out, outside of the business for a while, kind of gain some experience in the world, and then come back to the business. I did that. Others that I've known have done that. But what Diverzify offers is really best of both worlds, is they can continue to grow within the industry, but have this layer of professional training, have these outside peers that they can work with that they just frankly would not have had access to as an independent organization.
Yeah, it seems like a great opportunity, and it seems to be a business model that's working. Is it mainly commercial real estate and commercial construction? You're not in the residential side, or are there residential divisions under this model?
All commercial.
All commercial, and you see it staying that way.
Yeah, I can't speak to anything I don't know there, but as of right now, the only thing that would probably touch residential would be some multifamily business that's pretty large within the organization. But everybody that I know in the flooring business is trying to capture some of that as long as it's still a hot commodity.
Yeah. Well, we wish you nothing but the best in this new role. It seems very exciting for you personally, and a great way to take your expertise into this company and help spread that around the country for sure.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time. It was great chatting with you.
You too. We've been talking with Thomas Holland, who was the CEO of the Apex Group and is now part of the executive team at the fast-growing Diverzify company. Thank you, Thomas, for being our guest today.
Thank you.